So for those of you that are already here, some new people are still coming in. We'll get started in just a moment. Just hang tight. We're expecting a few more people. Thanks. What do you think, Shawna? Do you want to get started?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday morning. Thank you for attending this morning's session with ADP and RBC. I want to just do a quick little bit of housekeeping this morning before we get started. Everyone is on mute and there is no chat today. I'm sure Shawna and Matthew will remind you throughout the presentation that if you do have a question, there is a little hand in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can push it, and then Shawna and Matthew will get the signal that you're looking to speak. They will unmute you, and at that point, you can ask your question. And don't be discouraged if they're not going to unmute you right away. They will do so as appropriate throughout the presentation. So Luc Fournier from the Small Business Center here this morning. I want to just make a quick comment that here today we have Brian Friesian and Faith Pickles from RBC Business Account Managers here in the Quinte region local. And I want to introduce, Brian, give a little wave, yes. I also want to introduce from RBC, Shawna, Shawna Perkins, who will be talking to us today as a group consultant from RBC Group Advantage. We're going to hand it off to her in just a moment. And then later on, we're going to hear from Matthew from ADP Canada. As a global leader in human capital management, he's here to speak to us about payroll, tax filing, and managing employees through the COVID-19 pandemic, and hopefully what will soon be beyond the pandemic. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Shawna, and thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke. Thanks, everyone, for attending. I'm going to share a deck here, and I'll introduce myself as I do that. Just give me 1 second. So yeah, my name is Shawna Perkins, and I work for RBC Group Advantage. And just a little history on me. I have worked for Royal Bank for about 10 years. And prior to that, I worked for the Y. So that was the YMCA was my first experience doing anything with payroll, by the way. So I had a pile of staff and I had to do payroll and budgeting. It was a big learning experience for me then. I also worked for a couple years for my father's tax business, and probably people on the line understand working for your parents isn't always the most easiest thing to do. And actually my family has a small business themselves. And sometimes I'm really just the free employee for that business here and there, just helping out when needed. But this is what I do. I work for RBC Group Advantage, and I know for every business owner out there, it has been a challenging year. Even just putting up signs and doing all sorts of different things, employee turnover, attracting employees. But I think, I think we're going to make it through. It's almost the spring. It's the spring. It's sunny out. I think keep going. So RBC Group Advantage, we really tie in with ADP really well. And so this is one way you can help your employees through payroll. So really the star of the show is going to be Matthew from ADP, but this is just one great way easily through payroll that you can help your employees. So really RBC is a program that helps you take care of your employees' financial needs through savings and investments. And we are just a little bit different than all the other group providers out there. And we will set up plans for one employee or more. So if you're a business owner and you're looking to save directly from your corporation to your RSP, we'll do that. We will help you with that. ADP can help you with that as well. You know, if you have a couple employees, you just want to give them that option to save from their payroll to pre-tax to their RSP or to their TFSA, or you know they have a little bit of trouble saving, we can help you do that. So why do employers start group RSPs? Good question. Really improve productivity, and I'll give you some statistics just to give you some statistics here. 78% of employers say financial stress reduces employee productivity. But more interesting, that the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, FCAC, has a estimate that 46% of distracted employees spend an average of 3.5 hours per week on financial stress. So, you know, by helping them even a little bit without it coming out of your pocket, you can help them by saving money that way and reducing that stress. You can reduce your absenteeism. So 81% of employees have taken time off work due to financial stress. Certainly bankers, we are not excluded from this sort of statistic. Finances actually keep us up at night. It does happen, but you can take ways of alleviating that by having a financial plan. And you know, attracting and retaining talent. So, you know, making sure that it's clear that it's a benefit to them to be able to contribute from their pay. Employers can contribute as well, but you can also just set it up so that it's a voluntary option for those employees. So they know every time they get paid, that money is going directly into a savings plan that is set up for them for their future, so that they don't pre-spend it. We all pre-spend our money. We know it's going to hit our bank account, and if it doesn't hit our bank account and it goes directly to those savings plans, it's a lot easier for employees to take care of that way. So just a little of what RBC Group Advantage offers. I won't go into detail, but you can certainly ask questions after or in the question period here. And you'll also have my contact information, but group RRSPs, DC pension plans, profit sharing plans, and tax-free savings accounts. You know, if you're setting something up for employees to be able to opt in to contribute to their savings plans, group RSPs and group tax-free savings accounts are definitely a go-to. And we have great financial planners that will go over all of that and what they're saving for and how they're going to get to their actual retirement goals when they're done. And so before I let you go, I just wanted to say a couple things about the things that differentiate us from the other folks who offer group retirement plans and group savings plans from Payroll. We'll set up plans for one or more employees at no cost to you as the business owner. So if you have a key employee or you want to contribute yourself from your payroll, you can do that. advice is number one. So your employees or your with any one of our financial planners, our wealth planners, and you can one-on-one advice. In previous, we would come to your workplace and we will again one day. We will actually come to your workplace and do those on-site advice one-on-ones or advice events. And I can't wait until we're allowed to do that again. For the time being, though, we're doing virtual one-on-one events and one-on-one advice sessions. We have the most product offering of all of the providers out there. So your employees could contribute to one of Royal Bank's 108 mutual funds and GICs, or go the direct investing route. So maybe you have an employee that wants to save pre-tax to go into their direct investing account. And also certainly Dominion Securities. So if you're a business owner that deals with potentially Dominion Securities, it's a great way of having funds go directly from that corporation to your Dominion Securities advisors plan that you have set up. And then lastly, of course, we're RBC, so we have 1,200 branches out there. We do have dedicated support lines for Group Advantage members, so employees in plans, as well as the companies. And we this slide is clearly based on pre-2019 face-to-face approach located at any location convenient to the member. Virtual face-to-face, we can do everything at this point through that. And so if there are any questions, I'm going to stop sharing so that I can just take a look at the participants here and see if there's any questions. You can just raise your virtual hand on the right-hand side at the bottom. So I'll just wait a second and see if anybody has any questions. Don't be nervous to speak if you do have any. And if there isn't any, we'll give you my contact information after. I'll just wait a second to see if there's any hands that pop up. No, perfect. Okay, so with that, I will pass it over to Matthew from ADP. I can see him smiling there, so I'm going to pass him this so he can start sharing his presentation. And thanks everyone for attending. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawna. Let me just quickly pull it up here. Sorry, my internet is, hopefully it's cooperating today. As we know, technology likes to work when on its own schedule, not ours. So thank you everyone for having me on today. Thank you for the warm welcome. First off, I'd like to thank Luc Fournier from the Quinte Small Business Center for setting up this learning session. I'd also like to thank my RBC partners, Shawna Perkins, Faith Pickles, and Brian Friesen for also helping coordinating this event. And lastly, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time out of your busy days to join us today. The topic today is going to be focusing on payroll, how to manage your employees through the social climate, and what that could look like post-COVID-19. So before we get started, I'll introduce a little bit myself so everyone knows a bit about me. My name is Matthew Schwehr. I'm a district manager here at ADP, and I work directly with small business clients. ADP has many partners, one of which being RBC, who we work with specifically to streamline and automate their clients' payroll process. So just because some of you may not bank with RBC, keep in mind I'm still here to help and provide more information. Now, I always like to add in a little bit about me. Because we are doing this virtually, I like to make it a little bit more personal. I live in Burlington, Ontario, but I previously did live in Trenton, where I played hockey for the junior A team. So keep in mind this is a while ago, but I do love that area and the communities around it. I actually come from a small business family myself. My dad owns a small business in Toronto where I've been working alongside him for the last better part of 10 years. With that being said, I can relate to most of the pain points and the day-to-day lifestyle small business owners endure and go through. This typically being because I heard it all at the dinner table and the long car rides to hockey, as you can imagine. So as you can see by the pictures on the screen, I have a Doberman puppy. His name's Vader, and he's 5 months old. Also, you can see a picture of me there too, not like anyone really was looking, but to answer your question, yes, before I got him, I did actually have more hair on my head. You know, I assume that most of you family-oriented people who have children and pets can actually relate to this. So aside from that one, the real question is, why am I here and how ADP can help? So, well, since last March, we've all endured this pandemic, and like Shawna said, we've all been moving through it in our own ways. Typically, I'd love to be on a stage presenting in front of all of you, and just like the image, this is unfortunately our new normal. So what has COVID-19 done to your business? Could it be reducing your workforce, temporary closures, or reopening while still keeping your staff and your clients safe? All of these are common challenges that small businesses have had to overcome during this time. I myself, like I mentioned, have had a personal experience with this with my dad's company, going in on the weekends, you know, almost working a second job. Like Shawna said, I'm almost a free employee, going in and managing one of the offices for him as well. Now, I understand small businesses have had to adjust more than larger corporations, and I understand the challenges associated with them. So to answer the question, how can I help? ADP helps small businesses streamline that payroll and HR process. So first off, allow you to focus on the core elements of your business, and then focus on the strategic initiatives that you're looking to implement. We get rid of the disruption and replace it with innovation. And I'll help each and every one of you reimagine your payroll experience and see how easy it is with ADP. So like Shawna mentioned about Group Advantage, we're going to stick to the 3 key areas to focus on during this presentation. Those being improving productivity, reducing absenteeism, and lastly, increasing retention. So to start, you may be asking yourself, how can ADP really help me and increase the productivity in my company? The answer is simple. We alleviate the process of doing payroll by removing some of the manual steps and the additional costs associated with it. For those of you who do it yourself, ADP's process will put time back into your day and allow you to focus on growing your business or best manage the time in a daily workday. That potentially means less paperwork after dinner, spending more time with the family, or simply taking more time for yourself. For those of you who have an employee, a bookkeeper, an accountant, family friend, or even a significant other managing your payroll, I imagine they're typically not just doing that payroll, and that's not their only job. With small businesses, it is common for employees to wear multiple hats, and usually payroll is unfortunately just one of them. What we do is we remove the manual steps, which helps the payroll administrator now focus on more strategic initiatives and more items on their desk, knowing that payroll is done accurately and most importantly, on time. As you can see on the screen here, with a manual or semi-manual process, on the left, that's what it typically looks like for small businesses. That is usually a 7 to 11 step process. And the one thing I'd always like to say is how many of you can actually relate to this with COVID-19 and potentially having to endure some of those changes. Now on the right, you can see what the process looks like with ADP. We handle all the heavy lifting associated with payroll. That includes calculations, deductions, remittances, and direct deposit for your employees. We can potentially save you hours by simplifying your process. As Shawna mentioned, ADP helps partners like Group Advantage because on pay stubs we'll generate for your organization, you can actually see that we handle the money movement on your behalf and we'll make all the contributions on your end for your organization. We also do share detailed results and information from each payroll to help you with year-end tax filing. From what seems like a daunting and exhausting task, it can now become an experience by how simple it is. Can you now imagine what your payroll experience could be like with ADP? So reducing absenteeism is definitely one of the points I wanted to touch on. Managing employees is one of the toughest areas to navigate as a small business owner. They are your most important assets to your business. You have to find the perfect balance between personal and professional as a small business owner. So how do we manage your employees or keep them engaged? By simplifying the process and holding employees accountable. With our small business product, you're actually able to have your employees clock in and clock out when their shifts start and when they end from your location or other job sites. This can be done from a computer, tablet, or mobile phone through our application. Sounds scary, right? Leaving the control up to your employees? Don't worry, you will ultimately have the control to run the payroll. As the overall authority, you can make override changes and information when you're submitting hours. After that, all you have to do is click Submit Payroll, and we will handle everything from there. Into our user-friendly interfaces on the market, which makes it convenient for you. This now puts the accountability on your employees to keep track of their hours, which keeps your employees engaged, but most importantly, they're getting paid on time, which we all know is very much important to us and employees. Now, we help businesses manage their cash flow, ensure accuracy, and provide convenience. And now we can actually help you manage your most valuable assets, your employees. So this is by providing HR expertise. This will also help increase retention, because now we can give you a tool to help onboard, recruit, manage your employees from the hiring process all the way to the retiring process. We can give you access to our portal, which is where you can store job descriptions, performance reviews, onboarding documentation, and probably the most important document of all, which is your employee handbook. You can actually have the access to customize it and build certain rules in place for your business in accordance with CRA legislation. Typically, the Employee Standards Act protects the employees. What an employee handbook does is it keeps your employees accountable and protects you as the business owner, which is incredibly important for your business. This will increase retention because now you are managing your employees the right way and ensures that you're keeping your finger on their pulse. So what is important to you during COVID-19? One thing as COVID has taught us is to focus on the most important things in our lives and not get distracted with things we can't control. What I found from speaking to small business owners like yourselves during this time is that family, friends, fitness, and travel are the most important to people's lifestyles. Typically in the past, some of us have had our business or work run our lives. Why not let your lives run and guide your business? And ADP can help by changing your payroll experience. So that concludes today's presentation. Here's my contact information on the screen. If anyone would like to reach out, I'd be glad to have a conversation with you and see how ADP can help. Thanks.
Great, thanks to Shawna and Matthew for today. And I just want to say we're going to probably move into a quick Q&A session here for anybody that has some questions. In the meantime, though, just quickly before that, having worked for Employment Ontario and having worked with a lot of the small businesses, I can say that at the very basic level, payroll services are definitely worth it. The integration between ADP and RBC will certainly be an added bonus. So if anybody's considering it, I suggest to look into it a little deeper. Now, I think Shawna and Matthew, we're going to move into some Q&A if anybody has any. I know for a fact that Matthew can handle some hard questions because I see he's a Leafs fan, and he's probably wondering how come they haven't won the cup in a while. But at this time, Toby Toth has a question, it looks like. Let's start with Toby.
I'll unmute him. There we go.
Hi, thanks very much. Just a quick question there for Matthew regarding the payroll item. Does it have the capacity to manage multiple payroll inputs? And the example I have is we have an employee who does some amount of hourly wage work, but then he also does piecework. So he's not even a part-time employee, he's a piece worker. And his piecework is based as well on commission rates. So percentages of jobs he performs. So there's kind of some myriad inputs. And does the system allow for some rather complicated inputs?
Yes, Toby, that's a great question. I actually hear that quite a bit in some different industries. Now with that, we can actually add additional earnings columns and cost categories. So what that means is you can have their hourly rate as one of the earnings, and you can also include the piecework based on the percentages or how your organization works. It's customizable in a sense that we can definitely help in some of those areas. It all depends on how complex your process is, and I'd gladly work with you on that to uncover more.
Awesome. And last question, I forgot to ask about that too. I'm assuming it's an option because we're not the only company that has to manage that, but paying for mileage for employees or adding in those features for cost recovery for them. Is that possible? Yeah, definitely. Those would be under the additional earnings and deductions within our program. So we can definitely help, and our implementation process can actually add those in
on the front end. So when we do walk you through your first 2 payroll processes, you'll have the access to, speak to an actual specialist and set up your account for you.
Thank you. That's great.
Any other questions today? Sorry, Shawna, go ahead. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Now's a good time to put your hand up while we wrap up today. I didn't mention at the beginning that we are recording this session, and so there will be additional follow-up with everybody who's attended. The video link will be sent out. It's will be up on our YouTube channel for the Small Business Center. Follow-up questions beyond today. Matthew, Shawna, who should they approach first if they have any questions about either?
Sorry about that. My my audio cut out there. I actually didn't catch the first part there.
So did mine.
Yeah, it's been a funny meeting today with technology, hasn't it? I was just wondering who should they reach out to first if they have any general questions. Should it be Shawna or Matthew?
Oh, tough question. That's a tough question. Matthew, or Brian or Faith or myself.
Yeah, so
Does
I'm always
anybody
open
want to
to a
answer?
conversation. Yeah, I'm always open to a conversation, obviously see where I can help. If I can't help directly, then I'll point you in the right direction that could to my partners, Shawna, Brian, and Faith at RBC. And if not, we can all jump on a joint call, which I know me, Brian, and Faith have done in the past with clients and really adds more value from the partnership that we do have.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have a last question? We'll wait for you to put your hand up. And I think it's important to distinguish that Brian and Faith are local in a slightly different capacity as a business account manager. We can work with them a little bit more with the financial side of things in terms of business development and so forth, not directly related with payroll. So with that, it looks like there are no more questions at this point, and you can expect a follow-up email within the next couple of days. So thanks to everyone for joining us. Thank you to Shawna and Matthew and Brian and Faith. Have a great day.
Thanks again. Everyone take care and stay safe.